Agassi, Alexander, Davis, and Withers joining Louis Diankalou in the middle of this Queens defense. The big man had a nice game against Carson Newman yesterday. Lincoln Memorial will go Cornelius Taylor, Josh Odom, Trevin Shaw, and Emmanuel Terry, the Conference Player of the Year, will join Dorian Pinson in the starting lineup for the Splitters in this championship match between two very, very talented teams. Bart Lundy looking to win back-to-back conference tournament championships, year number 10, with a little bit of a split in between there when he was at High Point for Coach Bart Lundy. On the other side, his counterpart, Josh Schertz, the all-time winningest coach in SAC history by win percentage, 83% of his games. And he has the number one team in the nation at his disposal. And he'll work it from the sidelines as we are ready to get underway here inside Timmons Arena. And Lincoln Memorial will start with the basketball in what should be a very fun championship. Mike Hefner, Corey Haney, Blake Harris are your officials. Freddie Blanton is the alternate as Dorian Pinson starts the scoring off for LMU.
Obviously wants to make an impact, and they look for the big man immediately. Pinson is just having a fantastic season coming into this one here tonight, averaging 15 points a game for his career, just 10.4 points, but he's not that scorer. He's the guy that looks to get everybody else involved.
Queens used a very balanced attack on the offensive end yesterday. That was the word we kept coming back to with the Royals. Diankalou tries to get position inside, and he's fouled by Josh Odom.
Odom trying to get his game going offensively yesterday. Now defensively, he'll pick up his first foul. He's been very consistent games against LMU. 8 points per or I should say against Queens with 8 points per game, but they're just trying to make sure Diankalou did not get an easy look.
There's Agassi off the pick and roll. Now finds Withers. Good ball fake. And a kick ball near the baseline as Todd Withers trying to create some offense off the dribble. He has many strengths as a basketball player, three-point shooting, able to block shots and guard multiple positions on the floor. He's the leader of the Royals.
Like you'll notice, if both teams are locked in defensively, then they move their feet fast and keep their opponent in front of them, but they also get help from their teammates. If they're not getting that help, it'll make it difficult for both of these defenses to keep the other team off the number one, the offensive glass, and just from scoring easy points like that.
Great drive from Mike Davis to set up Diankalou to get Queens their first bucket of the afternoon. Some pressure in the backcourt shown by Jalen Alexander, and Odom will easily break through, and now he's going off the bounce. And a great play by Ike Agassi to poke it away.
Got there late because he realized his team was in trouble. That's a good start defensively.
And there's Diankalou drawing the foul on the other end. It's going to go against the Conference Player of the Year, not to mention the Defensive Player of the Year as well. In Emmanuel Terry, didn't have a phenomenal game yesterday, but didn't really need to. They didn't call his number on the offensive end very often, but still had a couple of highlight dunks, pulled down 9 rebounds, and blocked 6 shots.
Averaged 16 points a game this year against Queens. Also 10.5 rebounds a game. And so never, it's always hard to say never, but I will say, as you see, just got to the spot late. Very difficult for a guy to pick up a Player of the Year because we, as media and as coaches and as people around the league see it, SIDs, well, the Player of the Year has to be the best scorer. And rarely do you see the best defender earn that honor.
Diankalou, 1 of 2 from the stripe, just a 44% foul shooter this season. Pressure shown once again here by the Royals, and Taylor is across the timeline and looking to attack. Queens was much better offensively in their semifinal game, scoring 1.12 points per possession against Carson Newman last night. Lincoln Memorial got off to a very slow start. They were held to about 0.9 points per offensive possession, as it will go back the other way.
That's Todd Withers trying to stay in front of Trayvon Shaw, and able to do that because he's such a versatile player, 6'8", can be versatile, fight through a screen, and make it difficult for Shaw to take that perimeter jumper. It takes him out of his comfort zone. He's put the ball on the floor, and he's trying to finish off the dribble.
Here's Davis, little dump off to Withers, and now a kick out for 3. Agassi's first attempt from deep's no good. And a foul call underneath will go against Diankalou and the Royals. Battling for position, battling for the rebound with Emmanuel Terry. Not an easy guy to battle with down low.
He's strong, but, Diankalou's able to match him with strength. Not many people can do that, and I suppose that's why these games have been so close this year, because they take away the Terry factor a little bit. Withers being able to stay in front of a defender, even though maybe the foot speed isn't there necessarily. That's why these two teams are so evenly matched.
That's why they were both ranked number one at some point this season. Lincoln Memorial still number one. Here's Odom. Screen set for Taylor. Kick out. Odom wants one from three, and it's off the back iron. Rebounded by Todd Withers.
Odom again, everybody can shoot for LMU. Just under 40% this year for Odom. Tried to find his range yesterday early, and it just didn't fall for him early in the game.
Odom finished with 13 and 8 on 5 of 12 shooting in the semifinal against the Bulldogs.
What a matchup.
Withers guarded by Dorian Pinson. Two of the very best players in the conference. Alexander's step back three with a hand in his face from Terry. And Jalen Alexander showing off that offensive game and that range from beyond the three-point line.
One thing for this Queens Royals team, yesterday in their game, they shot 49% from the field, just hit 8 of their 27 three attempts. But again, they are the best shooting team here at Timmons Arena.
Tipped away, but it will stay with Lincoln Memorial. And LMU, again, after a slow start yesterday, had just 4 points through the first 9.5 against the Bulldogs. Haven't scored in the last 2:55, as they have just 2 points here in the first 3.5 minutes. Here's Shaw off the dribble, swatted by Diankalou. Now Diankalou gets the touch on the other end. Can he complete it? And defense to offense from Louis Diankalou, and an early 6-point lead for Queens.
Queens settling in defensively. They're giving help when it's necessary. And Diankalou, the perfect rim protector against the drive by Shaw.
Defense converges on Shaw. Now Pinson, as we like to call it, the point forward at times for this team, looks to go off the dribble.
What a tough shot.
Spins up. Terry mistimed the tap, and it's rebounded by Withers.
Thought there was no way he was going to be able to get that up around the rim, and it almost went in.
Now Terry once again out on the perimeter, guarding this time against Agassi. Turns the corner. And it's off the knee of Ike Agassi, and it will take us to a media timeout. The Royals getting out to a hot start here against Lincoln Memorial.
Season, and the challenge has helped LMU to up its game. By contrast, though, Queens, one of those teams, is hungry to face the Rail Splitters once again this season and defend their second straight SAC championship. But with all the success the Royals have had, Coach Lundy said this is one of the most enjoyable teams that he has coached, and maybe, guys, third time's a charm.
2 meetings this season between these two teams. LMU took both of them. Lundy and the Royals certainly hoping to turn that around here, and they're off to a good start. Lincoln Memorial scored 12 seconds in with Dorian Pinson and have not hit a shot since. And Diankalou is going to be called for his second foul going up over the back.
That's going to be almost 5 minutes without a bucket for the Rail Splitters now. And Shaw, again, they struggle. Just a little bit of a slow start. But yesterday we saw this with this LMU team, and then they were able to produce the offensive output that they had. But yesterday shoot 45% after the slow start. Went just 5 of 24 from three. I think you see that little difference for Shaw. He's trying to take his game inside first to see if he can open things up outside.
And with 10:34 left in the first half yesterday, Wingate was on top of LMU 10-4. Lincoln Memorial took the lead with 8:45 remaining in the first half, never relinquished it, and went on to win by 30 with a big second half against an undermanned Bulldogs team. Taylor's drive doesn't result in a bucket, and it's another rebound for Withers, crashing the glass here early. He has 4 boards, and his team is playing very well on the defensive end.
And he may be their top scoring threat at under 14 points a game, or at least by average, but he's not the threat offensively. But where he is a threat is eliminating second chance opportunities and just playing it long.
Good spin inside. Terry got a piece of it on the way up, but there was a foul called before that with Cornelius Taylor swiping down on yesterday's breakout star, Sean Willett.
And I love Sean Willett. I love his game. I just love his energy that he brings to this team. And I think just to follow up on the point with Coach Lundy and how he loves this team. It's very similar to what he had last year, despite the physical presence from camps. But they still play fast. They still help. They defend at such a high level. Willett just plays above the rim. He just plays a whole lot taller than he is. He's a lot like Sean Jones at Carson Newman. Just so quick, though, and he makes great decisions with the ball right in his hands, knows where he's going to go as soon as he catches it, or even before he catches it.
1 of 2 for Willett from the stripe, just about a 62% free throw shooter. The transfer out of Indian River State College. And he has had a good year off the bench for this Queens team, has been a real spark. Here's Taylor trying to end this scoring drought for the Rail Splitters. Good move, gets it done.
Well, they needed it, number one. He got himself into a spot, turns, he was looking for some help and realized he was open.
And they went over 5 minutes without a bucket here, trailing by 5. Carr left one off the front of the rim. Patterson will dive after it. And the ball touched the line. So right back to Queens it goes after the missed shot by Daniel Carr.
Hard to get really a gauge on just how the game is going. If LMU is tied, if they're just missing shot because they are, I don't think so. They've been here too often. They've been in this position. But Patterson just a little bit unlucky as he comes in off the bench very early in this one. A very, very close call, but good eyes by the official who's standing right there in front of it.
And a throw-in from underneath is nearly turned over. But it will stay with Queens. Pinson got the fingertips on it.
The one thing I do notice about LMU is that Terry has not touched it again. Yesterday against Wingate, what was it, 8.5 minutes before he touched it for his first time, and he hit a baseline jumper. Just have not been able to get him acclimated offensively early here at Timmons, but today it's because Queens has been very physical on Terry on the offensive side.
Solomon Smith into the game here for the Royals. He'll go to work in the post with Emmanuel Terry. Withers has it poked away by Pinson. Now the 2-on-1 break, but the Royals very quick to get back. Taylor hits the triple. 5 straight points for Cornelius Taylor. Cuts it to 2.
38% on the year from 3. Like I said, everybody can shoot for this LMU team and shoot for a high percentage, but those are 2 buckets that he needed.
Withers looking for the answer on the other end. And the 6'8 wing with the range from distance.
All conference. A guy that hits for an extremely high percentage, just behind that of Shaw in the conference in percentage at 42% this year.
Now it's Deshaun Patterson off the dribble. There's a touch for Terry, and there's a finish inside.
How amazing. Get the guy the player of the year the ball, and he's going to, usually that close, going to finish that off.
72% on the season from Emmanuel Terry, right around 70% on the career, as he's able to get it done offensively, and so are the Royals. Jalen Alexander, nice little turnaround jumper.
Like the way he's feeling too, but he had that one-on-one. He felt like he just had the mismatch as far as size. I don't think there's a mismatch per se between these two because of their speed and quickness.
Now Terry off the dribble, leaves it up high off the glass. And that's what the player of the year can do.
He just hangs, and by hanging in the air and just suspending himself, he's able to eye the rim, where he wants to put the ball, and he did that perfectly off the glass.
Agassi, hesitation dribble, gets some space freed, and Dorian Pinson's there on the defensive end.
And they're communicating, too. Like the way they're talking, Pinson and Terry. Somebody made a mistake. However, you think you're free, and when you're in the paint with Terry or Pinson looming, usually that shot's going out of bounds.
Willett back in. Solomon Smith comes out as the inbound goes to Alexander. He's guarded by Trevin Shaw. Under 10 to shoot. Step back 3. The quick release. And he nails another.
Jalen Alexander's had subpar games against LMU. Right now he's at his season average against the Rail Splitters.
It's not subpar so far. 8 points on 3 of 3 shooting. He's hit 2 of 2 from beyond the 3-point line. Patterson's take. Good defense by Withers. Forces a miss. And now it's Carr running the break once again. Thwarted by Dorian Pinson. And that man does it all over the floor. That'll take us to a media timeout on the defensive play by number 15, Alexander, and one coming from Withers.
It is a good start because on the year against LMU, they've shot below 30%, 27% in that first matchup. They hit 7 of 26. They also hit 7 3-pointers in the second matchup where they shot 29%, 7 of 24.
Certainly has been an effective part of their offense early. They like to make about 12 a game if they can, as Davis is fouled on the long 2. Trevin Shaw got him on the arm.
4 of their last 5 for LMU to get back into it, sparked by Taylor, who we saw going out. And he's that guy that gives you the intangible. But, man, he's had good games against Queens with 24 points. Davis to the line, conversely, 8 and 6 this year against LMU. And I think just trying to get his game going a little bit, maybe just his tournament going a little bit. I think for him, he's kind of been subpar over the last 2, but a lot of that has to do with the teams they've played. Carson Newman makes it difficult for him to score based on the matchup. And then against LR, when you've got Everett Solomon coaching, that defense is going to make it extremely difficult for Davis. But so many guys that can score.
Had just 7 yesterday in 21 minutes, did deal with some foul trouble. But Queens, as deep and balanced as they are, were able to pick up the slack from the second-team all-conference selection, Mike Davis. Pinson had Terry open but didn't have his head up, but he's able to finish nonetheless.
Well, he made up for the mistake. He knew it as soon as he got his head up and realized he had missed Terry. But what Terry did is he opened up space in the paint for Pinson to drive. So he had 2 options as he went in there. If he were going to get help and sag off of Terry, he was going to dump it off or he's going to finish.
And now here's Pinson again on the defensive end. Just a physical specimen, does a little bit of everything for LMU. You saw it yesterday in the win against the Bulldogs, 14 and 19, and now hitting the 3-ball.
He's just showing every bit of it. You know, there's certain names that you can give to guys that do all, be all. The janitor, a guy that's a jack of all trades, whatever you want to call him. That's Dorian Pinson, and what a blessing John Schertz has had over the last 4 years with him.
He's got 7 points here for the Rail Splitters, who have made now 6 of their last 7 field goals. But the Royals, they're not going anywhere. Daniel Carr continuing a very good weekend here in Timmons Arena.
Look, 2 of the top best teams from the field in this league. 50% for Queens on the year, and obviously the national offensive efficiency #1 for the LMU Rail Splitters.
Patterson, trying to drop it off inside for Terry. And Royals basketball last touched by the Splitters with 10:01 to go here in the first half. Just about halfway through the first of this conference championship tilt.
6 of the last 7 for LMU. Queens has hit 4 of their last 5. It's just, you knew the start was just these teams know each other. It's not about feeling each other out. They know exactly what they're going to do. They're so well versed. You go through all the games in the conference to determine a 1-2 seed, and you basically knew it. These were the teams that were going to play each other, and the hot start continues for this Queens Royals team.
Soft touch on the little floater from Daniel Carr. He had 13 yesterday to go with 4 assists, a pair of rebounds as well, 6 of 12 shooting for the speedy sophomore guard. And continuing that here in the championship with a couple of early buckets. Taylor drops it inside, and Terry with the flush.
You look like he's going to lay it up, punch it up off the glass. He just suspends and realizes, I'm just going to throw this thing down. And a dunk just gives your team some more life.
And you talk about how much you want to see him get those touches offensively. He's converted all 3 of his chances. As the offensive foul called on the screen there, against Mike Davis.
It's amazing he doesn't get involved early, but I did watch it today. I watched a little bit more how Terry tries to get himself involved offensively. You credit Queens because what they were doing was bumping him. They were keeping him outside of the paint. They weren't allowing him to go. I mean, they had 2 guys shadowing him, and because of the great start offensively for Queens, they were able to keep doing that. Now that LMU and Taylor hit that little jumper, they realized we're going to have to go more straight-up man-to-man. They can't keep Terry away from the rim all game.
Both teams combined have hit 12 of the last 14 shots taken. LMU 7 for their last 8. Here's Taylor again. Now he wants a screen. Back to Pinson. Working on Withers. Pinson lays it up. What a finish.
Incredible. I don't see even how he eyed the rim that time. Todd Withers was wearing him like a glove. Great defense by Withers, but a better finish.
And Dorian Pinson, a Greenville, South Carolina native, showing off here in Greenville, South Carolina. Taylor, the triples off the back iron and rebounded by Jalen Alexander, who wants to get out and run. The 3-ball for Davis. No, and a tough rebound taken out of the hands of Terry by Daniel Carr. Too strong for Withers, and this time Terry holds on.
It was a great take by Carr. Just shows you how impactful he can be coming in off the bench. He just goes up. He has no fear. Terry had the rebound. He rips it away. And Withers, normally with those types of looks, he knocks those down.
Patterson, soft touch on the floater. He had a great tournament last year, still trying to find his footing a little bit in this championship game. Wide open is Withers. No, but the tip back up's missed as well by Davis. He had plenty of time to come down with that one, Brian.
Well, I think Terry got stuck back here in the backcourt. He came down hard, so he just kind of jogged back to the other end.
And a foul on the drive by Jalen Alexander will be Terry's second foul. He'll probably take a seat when we return here. Championship Sunday. And what a start it has been. The Royals leading it by 3. Daniel Carr getting in on the action on victory for the Rail Splitters as they got up early and were all over the Royals in game number 2.
First game with Queens ranked number 1 in the country as well, and they had the ball, a chance to win it, and were unable to get that last second shot to fall down after 2 free throws were made to give LMU the lead at 73-72.
There's the contact that forced Terry to pick up his second foul of the first half. And Alexander knocks down a pair from the free throw line, and he continues his perfect start to this game. 10 points, 3 of 3 shooting, and now a couple of free throws to go along with 4 rebounds.
Guys, I was listening into the huddle right there, and Coach Schertz was telling his team, we got to get the ball side to side and attack low. He said they've been doing a good job driving to the basket, and that's what he wants to see more of.
Diankolu a kick out for Agassi. And now Agassi has some space to shoot. He's fouled on the way down.
It's a big moment right now in this game for LMU. So you've sent Terry to the bench. He's there now. You've got Patterson, who's out there. Shaw hasn't been out there, has not been involved. I felt like this was the opportunity for Queens, and they did exactly that, to get the turnover, to get this possession, to give Agassi the chance at the free throw line. They came with the double team on Patterson. He got caught. Then he had no one to reverse it to. And then it was an athletic play to continue that possession and get that into the fast break. But they're going to bring Shaw back in. He's not been looking for outside. And I think that's the biggest change from yesterday to today. LMU, 14-4 points in the paint. They're not looking to hit that outside shot right now, but how much longer can they go before Shaw has to open up the game from outside?
7-point Queens lead now with under 7 to play here in the first half. And pretty interesting number here is LMU only has 3 rebounds in this game. The Queens is 13, and they get a bucket on the offensive end.
Cameron Calhoun, again, he's a guy that comes off the bench and provides instant offense, and he plays down low, and there's another bucket in the paint for the Rail Splitters.
Yeah, Calhoun's a guy that gives good production in limited minutes, had 6 and 3 in just 12 minutes of game action yesterday. Averaged about 5.5 and 3 on the season. As Diankolu able to get in on the action inside. Diankolu now with 7 points. He had 10 and 8 yesterday. And getting right back to that presence inside for Queens.
Nice job positioning his body, using that arm to shield off of Pinson.
Odom, good step back to clear some space, but he couldn't hit the jumper from about 19 feet. 0 versus 0, the 2-point guards. Now it's inside to Diankolu. And a rebound for Odom. He pulled down 8 rebounds yesterday. We saw in that game against the Bulldogs, Odom try to assert himself a little more on the offensive end than we're accustomed to seeing with the guys like Terry, Pinson, and Taylor on the floor, as well as Shaw and Cameron Calhoun back-to-back buckets.
Undersized going on Diankolu, just a very patient move in the paint. And follow up on Odom, I think that last possession he took a quick shot, something that Coach Schertz didn't want to see. So Queens followed up with the quick shot, got the rebound, and didn't come down, and they were very patient in that half-court set.
You mentioned the undersized. Calhoun, a 6'5", redshirt sophomore out of Suwanee, Georgia. Here's a turnover and a floater from Cornelius Taylor, and that one did not look pretty.
And he rushed it. He didn't have the numbers. He didn't have anybody breaking for a pass. You expect Taylor to be able to turn that thing around and go ahead and come right back out. He didn't do that. Tried to finish it off, which we've seen him do so many times. But Queens is so different because they get back as a unit defensively and force you to make either tough shots or smart decisions. So that time a tough shot was forced.
Big mismatch down low. Can they get it to Pinson? As he's got Agassi holding in front of him. There's Odom, spins to the middle, tries to dump it to Calhoun, and it's a turnover for the Rail Splitters, their 5th. Inside. Who else? Sean Willett continuing his strong weekend.
It doesn't matter who's on him. I think it's a mismatch in a big way. It just creates that opportunity, and Shaw trying to front him. It doesn't even have to be a perfect.
To 0.59 points per possession. Most coaches, most teams want to be above 1 point per possession at the very least. They're just able to stifle that Wingate team yesterday, and they had their own slow start offensively, but shot 56% in the second half to come away with a big 30-point win in the semifinals. So trying to get going here offensively against the Royals. It's Calhoun down low. Spins towards the middle, and a soft touch off the glass. What a tough shot by Calhoun.
It's crazy. Just coming in, he shoots it high off the glass. I don't know if that's crazy or having Terry back on the floor, but you got to trust your player of the year, defensive player of the year, not to pick up that third.
And Todd Withers hits his second triple. So he says Calhoun hits a tough shot on one end. I'll come back and hit a 3 on the other end. He's got 6 points. Calhoun once again and draws the foul with 3:36 remaining here in this first half.
And Calhoun feeling it, so they're just feeding him inside. They feel as if there is somewhat of a mismatch there. I'm not sure if there is because he is undersized, going up against Withers, going up against Willett, but he's been able to finish. And now see if he can do that at the free throw line. And going back to that graphic, Queens in that first matchup who led by 14, that came in the first half. And it's not a 14-point game right now, but you just don't get the sense of urgency for LMU. It seems as if there's no panic, and it seems as if it's a business-like approach by Queens, as if they've been here and had opportunity. And I think they just want to be able to finish it off. I believe they feel like they haven't finished LMU this year. They even had a lead in that second matchup right there at the very beginning of the contest, but LMU pretty much led wire to wire in that one, but never were out of the game. I think they have a more of a business approach here, trying to defend that South Atlantic Conference tournament from a year ago.
75% free throw shooter, hits a pair. Calhoun now 8 points in just 4 minutes off the bench.
So good. So effective as Pinson. Just able to read, so quick with his hands, able to poke the ball away and just create deflections and give opportunities for his team.
And Willett, a little bit of frustration trying to earn the ball back after having it poked away, will pick up the whistle. Calhoun, again, 8 points in 4 minutes, 3 of 3 shooting, had a career-high 18 earlier this year in a game against Lees McRae early on in the season. He had 17 against Bluefield State as well, 16 versus Carson Newman. So he's a guy who has done it in limited minutes, a guy that can come off the bench and really attack offensively. Great pass inside. And Terry goes up to throw it down once again.
Perfect pass, too, between two defenders. Those two have been doing that for some time at LMU.
And that's what Dorian Pinson does in that facilitating role. When he's not looking to attack to get his own shot, he's going to find a teammate for an easy look, as Queens just did on the other end.
Just as we talked about Pinson, you just talked about Queens and Mike Davis, who comes up with the steal here. But Willett just rotating, gravitating to the right spot on the floor for that last finish.
Willett's got 5, and he's got it again. Now it's a kick out for Darrell White. And a rebound for Emmanuel Terry. Just the 5th rebound here of the first half for Lincoln Memorial. It's almost crazy to fathom that number. A team that averages 43.5 rebounds a game to lead the conference has 5 through the first 18 minutes.
Well, that's what it tells me. Queens isn't missing shots. That's what it's telling me. They're also getting some tips for some second chance opportunities. And they're not getting second chance opportunities. And Queens is doing just a good job keeping them off the glass.
12 for 23 from the field are the Royals. They have 4 offensive rebounds as well on those 9 misses. Taylor inside. It's Calhoun. A flop there by Davis, but it's swatted away by Darrell White as Calhoun lost his footing.
He lost his footing because he was tripping over the player on the floor, which is a foul.
Withers from way downtown in rhythm puts the Royals up by 9, his 3rd triple of the half.
Break right there for Queens. I don't think they wanted to call an offensive foul there, so they were just going to let it go on that contact. But Calhoun definitely tripped over the player who was on the floor, but it creates that three opportunity because the Rail Splitters didn't organize defensively.
Pinson can't finish on the offensive end, and the Royals have made 4 of 5 here offensively. We'll see if they can continue that. Agassi to the corner. And a travel called against Agassi.
He's so good, he's so quick. Able to make quick decisions, but that time he just got the ball caught. And it took just a little bit of a half step. Last year it was Daniel Camps for Queens that just said, I got you, I'll carry you on my shoulders, and we're going to finish this off. Right now it almost looks as if that's Withers. He's not allowing second chance opportunities. He's been a force at the rim. He's picking it up right now as Diancalu is on the bench. So he's the guy that's protecting the rim, but he's also a guy that stretches the floor with the three.
Calhoun off the feed from Taylor is fouled. And to your point about Withers, Jalen Alexander hasn't been too shabby himself.
It's very true. You know, everybody, it just seems like it's everybody, somebody every other night. And 4 guys averaging almost, between 11 and 14 points per contest for this Queens team. There's no just outstanding superstar. You give all of them that nod. They go 7 deep, and you could say, what an outstanding superstar that person is. And this is just a team that they pick up their matchups. If they see that there is a mismatch somewhere, then they're going to continue to feed that one person that ball that particular night.
Now, we've brought it up in the past. That balance, it's going to be different every game, who that guy is with 10 points and who that guy is with 18.
True.
Darrell White had 7 points in the semifinal matchup on a perfect 3 of 3 shooting, but he misses his first attempt of the game here with just over a minute remaining. Pinson using that strength to get into the paint and draw the foul with the bucket.
So strong. Just like that's a Luquan Choice move right there for Dorian Pinson, but able to finish. Withers has been so good inside the paint, creating that contact. Pinson didn't go initiate that contact. He just put it on the floor, went right to the rim. Team needed it. Down 8, creates a great opportunity.
3-point play for Pinson makes it a 5-point game, and you saw in that the strength. Withers is no slouch as a rim protector either. He blocked 6 shots yesterday in the win over the Eagles.
As the number 1 shot blocking team, Queens, the number 2 shot blocking team, the Rail Splitters, separated by 1/10 of a point.
Alexander is fouled on the way up by Calhoun. Continuing to be aggressive. We mentioned it yesterday. Sometimes, this team and this staff want him to be even more aggressive, a little bit like he was at times last season when he was a first-team all-conference selection, was an honorable mention here this year, and 10 points on a perfect 3 of 3 shooting so far.
One down night does not mean it's going to be a trend for anybody for Queens, and that's definitely the case for Alexander. Maybe it wasn't his best game yesterday shooting-wise. Maybe it hasn't been his best game this year against LMU, but that's forgotten. You can forget about that as he makes a couple at the stripe. But 12 points yesterday, I think that puts him in a good shooting rhythm when he can at least have a good game that he has seen from one game to the next. But against LMU, it's just the defensive matchup he hasn't liked this year. Just 5.5 points on the season against the Rail Splitters. But today, that's been totally against what has gone on during the regular year. So I think credit to his mindset. One bad game doesn't affect me for the next game.
For sure. 12 points, 4 of 11 shooting yesterday. 2 of 8 was the number that we're talking about beyond the three-point line. The shot just wasn't falling at times yesterday for Alexander, but it has been so far. His team leads it by 7. Pinson trying to show off his ball handling capabilities. Now it's Terry rising up. The tip back by Pinson somehow gets it to go with the right hand, and now Queens will have a final shot. Or will they? Pinson. And a good effort by Terry looking for a tip in at the buzzer, but a great stretch there in the final 30 seconds between the Royals and the Rail Splitters here. 20 minutes in, 20 minutes of regulation to play, as this game has been an evenly matched battle so far.
That guy right there, I think, is going to be a difference here in this second half. If he's not, then I believe this result probably stays the way it is here right now at halftime.
And Trevin Shaw played 20 minutes in the first half, was on the bench for just a couple of seconds. He has not scored yet in this game as an early whistle goes against the Royals. It'll be Ike Agassi called with the body.
Well, I think it's the game plan for Shaw. I think it's let's try to open it up. Obviously, they have dumped it inside a whole bunch, but it has not weakened that perimeter defense by Queens. They have been spot on in this game in their game plan to defend the Rail Splitters.
Here is Shaw, first touch of the second half. We'll get Pinson off the bounce. Slip pass inside, but it's poked away by Withers. And a turnover by Lincoln Memorial. Their 7th of the game. Queens has 8. Diankalou goes right at Terry, and Terry does just enough to alter it. Taylor for 3.
That's a big shot. Taylor hitting that outside shot, a three-pointer. They've only attempted 4 in that first half. Does it now open up even more inside where LMU has already been able to score in the paint in the game?
8 points for Taylor. Now Todd Withers feeling it. His 4th 3 of the game.
Locked in is Todd Withers. There's a guy with determination. You see that face? A guy that is locked into this game, wants to earn that tournament championship, does not want to go out this final season for him with 3 straight losses to LMU.
12 points and 5 rebounds for Withers. All 12 coming from beyond the three-point line. Here's another Splitters turnover. Agassi a 1-on-3 break,
wow.
And Pinson got it. Still with the Royals now. Agassi from the corner. And Terry comes down with a rebound, and will get rid of it quickly.
What a block by Pinson. Then Davis saves it. Surprise, Withers didn't go ahead and pull the trigger there straight away.
And you could sense it looming with Pinson just biding time as he went up and smacked this ball right off the backboard.
Good grief. Just great timing, just great help. You think you're open, and all of a sudden Pinson comes out of nowhere.
Diankalou was whistled for his 3rd foul. Now it's inside to Pinson. And another foul. Will they get Diankalou here as he was part of 2 Royals making contact with Dorian Pinson.
Diankalou got him early, but that one was going to be on Davis. But that's 2 hard falls to the hardwood here against Dorian Pinson. But I mentioned the fact that I believe he has to be a guy here to bring LMU back if they're going to have that chance to win. He doesn't have to be that scorer. He just has to be the guy that keeps them involved. Brady, you see Terry trying to make a bounce pass onto the baseline a little bit earlier, and it was poked away early. Again, here's the hard fall. He runs right into Diankalou, but it was Davis who was coming from the baseline, or from the free throw line that got called for that foul.
That's it. You watched that replay. It didn't look like Davis was even involved in the play.
Didn't see much there. Oh, got away with maybe an illegal inbound as Withers was already in play.
4-point Queens lead here, early second half. And Josh Odom a little too close to Jalen Alexander as we get another look.
You're going to see Withers he didn't really release it. Oh, yeah, it was real close. They're very close.
Maybe just behind the line.
Well, he had to slow it down to actually see it. So live, I'm sure it looked a lot worse, obviously, than it was we just saw in that replay.
There's Davis, top of the key. And Withers will give it back out for Agassi. Both teams have been very strong on the offensive end. Agassi couldn't convert from 8 feet. And what a play by Pinson to knock it away from the floor. Now here's Taylor on the break. It's Calhoun and 1.
Calhoun gets that break and is able, Pinson knocking it away, just creating just slight contact, and then Calhoun comes up to finish off this, I guess you'd call it a steal, as Alexander had it. Pinson just knocking it away, and Calhoun runs the floor. That's a great release pass right there by Taylor at the right time. Calhoun all running to the rim. We've seen him all game finish off the glass.
Can't convert on the three-point play, but 11 points for Cameron Calhoun off the bench in 8 minutes for Lincoln Memorial. Alexander still perfect from the field with 12 first-half points. Davis trying to get going, frees himself up, but just can't get it to fall.
It's a good drive and just rubbing off with the shoulder on Shaw and had an open baseline jumper. Davis good enough to hit that shot, no question, and that one just rimmed out.
Taylor, the float piece over top of Diancalu.
First time we've been tied since it was 2-2.
Lincoln Memorial took that early lead on the first shot of the game from Pinson. It's been the Royals since. But you anticipated this was coming. 56% from the field in the second half yesterday. The Splitters coming into their own on the offensive end as Mike Davis shoots a heavily contested three.
Yeah, it's a tough shot. Not the shot that you necessarily want right there. Even though he can make it, he's good enough to do it, but his shoulders weren't even squared up.
Shaw looking for his first points. Doesn't get him there, 0 for 3.
But he's doing it inside three-point territory. He's looking to take his game in there because right now that's where he's open. He's been patient in the game offensively. How much more patience does he have before it runs out?
Alexander, good screen from Diancalu. And Pinson wanted a jump ball or a takeaway, but he's going to get a foul instead.
I don't agree with the call. Just because the official that saw the call, had his back to the entire play. You'll see the call comes from the baseline. Pinson gets there and had it tied up initially. Very little contact right there. So a tough call on Pinson, but again, it's tough to see that in live action.
That's just the first against Dorian Pinson. Bart Lundy trying to earn a shooting foul for his team with a little conversation, but it'll be underneath for Agassi and the Royals with 20 here on the shot clock. Thrown away, looking for Alexander, but Sean Willits there to chase it down, and crisis averted.
Yeah, poor communication right there on the inbound.
Agassi, hesitation dribble, kicked out for 3. Daniel Carr.
That guy just comes off the bench, makes an impact when he comes into the contest. So many good, talented players come off for Queens, and Daniel Carr, an immediate impact here to start the second half off the bench.
7 points here for Carr, just a 29% three-point shooter on the season, but he looked awful confident there.
One tough call on one end, one other tough call on another end.
Media timeout here in the South Atlantic Conference Championship. Best teams in this league. Dorian Pinson off to a phenomenal start, and Taylor Cunningham has more.
Yeah, Jeff, he does a phenomenal job at stuffing the stat sheet in so many ways. And as you guys mentioned, he missed that run the Rail Splitters made to the Final Four last year. And Coach Schertz told me yesterday that he truly believes they would have had a different outcome had he have been healthy last season, guys.
Looked like a near tie-up there, but a traveling violation is the call against Trevin Shaw and the Rail Splitters. But, Brian, you mentioned the same thing yesterday that Taylor just brought up with Pinson last year in the Final Four, unable to win that battle against Northwest Missouri State, and it could have been different with Dorian Pinson.
He's a difference maker. I just think it's a decision-making here or there.
Withers just short on that three-point field goal attempt, and Taylor's looking to get out and run. Slip pass for Pinson, 2 more points for the senior who has 17.
Good take by Withers, no question, because he is feeling it from three-point territory. Just left it a little short, but it shows you how quick the Rail Splitters can go from defense to offense.
Pinson not always the first option offensively, but he can be. A career-high 30 points. And 17 here in this game, but they have guys all around. Cornelius Taylor from the corner.
Championship moment, and now a nice defensive play. Can the Queens Royals get an answer?
And what can't Dorian Pinson do?
I would like to have a sandwich. Maybe I would like for him to go get me a sandwich right now, but I don't know that I have time to eat it. Without Terry on the floor, he went to the bench early here in this second half. He had picked up a second foul. He made a tough decision instead of finishing it. Dorian Pinson has picked up his game since Terry went to the bench, and that's tough to do. How do you pick up your game any more than what Pinson has been able to do?
And again, he's shown that ability to fill it up. He's been able to get to that 30-point mark. He's shown the constant ability to score more than 20, and he's on his way here with 17 as the Rail Splitters are on top by 2. Withers looking for an answer. Left it short again. Second straight three-point attempt. It's been short from Withers. And Agassi's shooting woes continue 0 of 6.
He's trying. He didn't have the greatest championship game last year, did Agassi, but he has been so steady, so solid all year long. That was almost a championship-defining moment for Withers, taking that deep three. I'd like to see him take that one a little bit closer, but Agassi missing that one, that was open. It's a big moment for him and maybe just for his confidence.
Calhoun couldn't finish on the offensive end. Pinson plus the foul.
Just crazy. Determination, effort, you can't teach that. You can't coach that from a kid. And Pinson is elevating his game even more. He tips it basically to himself. He's doing that on Sean Willett, who I consider maybe one of the most athletic players in the league, a guy that's able to play and elevate his game above the rim. And Pinson tipping it to himself, finishing with the contact.
Just talent all over the floor for both of these teams. You have their rosters littering the South Atlantic Conference honorees at the end of the year. You have the Player of the Year. You have multiple first-teamers from these two teams. And then all the way down the rest of the list as well, just guys filling in. And guys who have that potential coming off the bench and playing limited minutes.
I believe if they had a sixth-man award and a Newcomer of the Year award, they'd both come from these two squads. Daniel Carr would be one of them, has that sixth-man type guy, and Diancalu for Queens as well.
A foul called against the Rail Splitters defensively. Cornelius Taylor's second foul, as Queens will look to end an 0-for-5 drought. They haven't scored in the last 2:17. It's allowed LMU to take the lead here. It sits at 5 currently.
Excuse me, I did misspoke. I talked about Diancalu having a solid season, but I do think Willett is that Newcomer of the Year in this league.
Agassi back out to Darrell White.
Ooh.
Offensive foul.
Yeah, it was a little bit physical on White, trying to come in, make presence. I heard the last bit of instruction before he ran onto the court from Bart Lundy. It says, be a difference, make a difference.
And they were happy to get him back. Was injured in the first meeting between these two teams back in January. Got him back, saw about 11 minutes yesterday, and back on the floor here trying to will his team to a second straight tournament championship here in Timmons Arena. But LMU on an 8-0 run. Can Pinson extend it? The three doesn't fall.
It's 13-3 over the last almost 5 minutes now, but Queens just needs a shot. They've hit one of their last 11 and 0 for their last 5 and haven't scored now in 3 minutes.
Who will they go to? Will it be Todd Withers? Or will Jalen Alexander assert himself? Pinson with another steal. And a great play by Carr to stop the lob. But there is a foul against Queens after Taylor got it back for LMU. And it's going to go against Agassi.
So fast, so quick. How the officials get into a spot to make a call in this particular game is beyond me. Hey, credit to them. But Daniel Carr, as Pinson was calling for the lob on the fast break, anticipated the lob and went up and nearly caught it.
It's the 8th foul against Queens, so in the bonus go the Rail Splitters and Cornelius Taylor.
And without Terry. And again, for LMU, doing a lot of this without Terry on the floor. Got to make free throws, though.
Here's Carr using that speed. Has to send it back out. Didn't have a clean look at the rim. Extra pass for Withers.
Great
Hits
patience.
that three.
Yeah, great patience. That was great. It started with Withers. He gave up a shot that might have been rushed in the set. It went around. Davis didn't take it as he drives in, kicks it back out, and as you said, the extra pass allowed Withers to hit a wide-open three-pointer.
5 triples for Todd Withers and the Royals here. Pinson, great look inside, and Calhoun with the layup.
Forget about everything else he can do, but, man, he can see the floor.
13 points off the bench for Cameron Calhoun. And the Splitters getting big contributions, as you mentioned, with Emmanuel Terry on the bench currently. And Calhoun will go down hard as a foul is called on Daniel Carr. This one living up to its billing. LMU leading Queens by 4, but the Royals and Todd Withers will continue to fight as we step away here on ESPN3.
Job by these two coaching staffs, assembling these teams. Hard physical presence. The only difference right now is LMU's making shots, but they're getting playmaking by Dorian Pinson, who has elevated his game from the first half here to this second half. They're shooting 64% here in this second half, and a lot of that still finished at the rim. They have a 34-10 edge, points in the paint for the Rail Splitters. Todd Withers has been a big difference for Queens. They hit 8 of 17 from 3, and he has hit 5, but they're only shooting 20% from the field here in the second half. They've made 3 field goals. They've all been Todd Withers three-pointers.
And LMU, Brian, is doing this without the conference's player of the year in Emmanuel Terry.
And again, that something must have happened right there at the start of the second half. Maybe he picked up an injury. It's really unknown, but I've just watched his body language as we've seen the 2 timeouts where he hasn't been inserted back into the game, and he just seems to be disappointed, and for whatever reason it is. It shows you the talent and the depth of this team, but also how one guy can elevate his game. And on cue, they're going to bring Terry in. Again, they've only played 7 in this basketball game. Have the Rail Splitters with Shaw, Terry on the bench right now. Both of those guys, major impacts offensively. They were putting Terry in, but they'll bring in Shaw off the bench and put him into the contest.
And Calhoun was bleeding, it seemed like, and they made him come off the floor, so somebody had to come in to replace him. So they're going to put Shaw onto the floor to shoot the free throw.
And Terry has been back there as well, almost in the backside of the bench in that training staff. Shaw missing it's just not been his game as he missed that second free throw.
It seems Emmanuel Terry with some blood on him as well, as the training staff, athletic training staff for LMU will work to get those guys cleaned up and hopefully back out on the floor, especially for us watching this game for the excitement factor as a foul's called down low. It'll be number 3 on Taylor.
They're just getting a shot of him, just kind of watching Terry again. Not sure if that is, obviously he's being tended to on the bench.
Withers, another open 3, and he hits number 6.
12 points in the second half, 4 3-pointers in the second half, all of them from Todd Withers.
2-point game, high-level basketball all around. So much talent here on the floor, and so much riding on the line. Pinson, the kick out, Odom. And Odom's fouled shooting a 3, and that's a big mistake from Diancalu, and that'll be his 4th foul.
Guys, both of these players on the Rail Splitters bench just getting cleaned up, like you guys mentioned. Calhoun bleeding from the hand. Terry's got a cut on his knee. The athletic trainers are just working to get the blood out and get them taped up.
Looks like Calhoun has just stepped back up to the front bench there for the Rail Splitters, and he's going to check back in. So Odom will shoot 3. After that foul against Louis Diancalu, just came, run through. You can't land underneath the feet of a jump shooter.
Odom's prep days played at Science Hill High School in Johnson City. Tremendous talent. Science Hill is a prominent school throughout much of the state of Tennessee, and state championships and the state recognition that they get. He moves on to UT Chattanooga and finishing out his career journeyman in college basketball. But Omar Watad is also the assistant coach at LMU, was also a Science Hill Hilltopper, played his college ball at Georgetown, knew of Odom, knew he was looking for a place to finish out his career, and he found a nice home at Lincoln Memorial.
And you see that blood still trying to seep through the legging of Emmanuel Terry as he's back up to the normal bench as well. Odom this weekend able to go over 1,000 points in his career from all of those different stops.
I mean, he's just, again, a tremendous asset in high school and was just a matchup problem for just about, of course, you can imagine that in high school basketball, but a very prominent team at Science Hill, coached by the Keene University coach in George Pitts, which started their prominent run late 80s into the 90s, and these kids in the 2000s have carried over that tradition.
5 points is the lead here for Lincoln Memorial. And Pinson's whistled for a travel. Started that move a little too early.
So he does make mistakes. He is human.
He has not made many here in this contest. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 steals. What a game. Two of the very best teams in the entire Division II level, playing for a conference championship here in a very close game, and Willett lost it inside.
Haven't seen Willett make those mistakes. He knows what he's going to do as soon as that ball touches his hands, and Withers, after the pass, was upset. He was double-teamed. They are trying to take that three-pointer away from him. He's going to have to work even harder now down the stretch to get an open look beyond the perimeter because he is red hot from outside.
Queens is led for 22-24 of this game after jumping out to an early lead and extending that into the second half, but Lincoln Memorial has fought back, and now they lead by 5. And an offensive rebound's poked out to Deshaun Patterson.
Even when he doesn't get the rebound, he's able to jump and tip it out for his teammates.
Here's a ball screen from Pinson. Patterson somehow able to keep it on his handle, but he's rejected by Willett.
What a block.
Willett wants to run, and Odom forces a tie-up. What a play defensively.
So good. These two teams, they stay in front of each other so well, which is the difference. How they're so different from the rest of the conference. Defensively, they can stay in front of you. And Odom stays right in front, even while he's backpedaling. And Sean Willett running at him full speed. He's able to locate the ball, tie up the situation, as Willett tried to go from defender to instant offender.
And Willett a little bit shorter than Odom, but of a stronger build. Odom, a taller, lankier guy. He was able to go right in at him. And another foul called here. Oh, they call the 5 seconds on the inbound for the Royals, so another mistake. And LMU will try to extend their lead. They haven't made a field goal in the last 2:27, but still lead it by 5 here with 9.5 to play.
What a pass.
Calhoun on the receiving end, 16 points. And another assist for Dorian Pinson.
What a pass by Pinson. Just had the presence of mind to be patient, and Calhoun just made the move right to the rim.
Agassi, the flip shot. And the contact. A foul on Cameron Calhoun. That's his second. And just look at that threading the needle.
My goodness.
Agassi, who has had a tough day from the field, will go to the line. Just 2 points in 26 minutes. Does have 6 assists, but has turned it over 6 times as well. And the first free throw is good as Queens ends a 2-minute, 17-second scoring drought. The Royals just 4 of 16 from the field in the second half. All 4 of those makes coming from beyond the three-point line. All 4 of those makes coming from Todd Withers.
Terry staying on the bench has opened it up for Calhoun, who's playing well, obviously.
Pinson trying to flip a pass inside, and here comes Carr on the break. And a foul against Dorian Pinson will send Daniel Carr to the line for a pair.
Pinson gave that up. That's 3 turnovers on him, trying to thread the needle on another tough pass, but he's the first guy back defensively, made it real tough for Carr. And I love the way Daniel Carr just went right at the big man, had no fear, and nearly got that, and one, as he nearly got that shot to fall.
Carr 70% from the free throw line this season. Nothing but net on the first as he continues again to play well. 8 points and 4 rebounds off the bench for the sophomore as the second free throw rims out. Cornelius Taylor is going to walk it up the floor. 4-point game. Taylor into the body of Solomon Smith. Doesn't get a whistle, but it stays with Lincoln Memorial. 8 left to shoot.
Well, I know Taylor was anticipating the foul to be called right there, but he kind of leaned in, and lots of times the officials, if you initiate that contact, they're not going to give you that particular call. Fortunate for LMU to still have possession.
Long inbound is to Patterson. 5 to shoot. It's Pinson for 3.
Crazy. That's a great play. It's out of the top. That's out of an inbound play. It goes out on top to Patterson, and Pinson just rotates back to the top.
His second triple of the game, 23 points to lead the Rail Splitters as the Queens field goal drought continues on maybe an ill-advised shot there from Mike Agassi.
Yeah, I know he's very capable. But only 4 field goals have been made this entire second half, and they've all come from one player, and they've all come from behind the three-point line. There is nothing right now in the paint for the Queens Royals, and that's without Terry.
And he continues to get it done, does Dorian Pinson. And Mike Agassi will call for the timeout as LMU has extended their lead to 9 points here. 7:42 remains. A great day here in the South Atlantic Conference. Patrick Britz on your screen. Taylor Cunningham has more.
Yeah, just during that timeout, they brought Commissioner Patrick Britz a cupcake, and he's celebrating his birthday today, and the LMU band was playing a happy birthday for him. So I know this is an exciting game and a fun day to spend your birthday.
And what a better game to watch on your birthday for the South Atlantic Conference Commissioner, watching two of the very best teams in the country battle for the right to say they won the South Atlantic Conference Tournament Championship. Pinson off the bounce. 2 more.
I was going to say, Alexander becomes the first Queens player not named Todd Withers to score here in the second half, and Pinson just dominating this second half for LMU.
Last year, a 3-point victory in this championship game for Queens with a guy named Daniel Camps, who was dominant in that performance, scoring 29 points. We're seeing a similar performance here from Dorian Pinson.
I couldn't agree more, Jeff. That is a perfect segue from one year to the next. Daniel Camps just carried his team on his shoulder. Dorian Pinson is doing that today for LMU. Still a lot of time to go. Queens very capable, no question about it. But Dorian Pinson has been the biggest factor in this game.
And the rebound numbers coming back towards the Rail Splitters here in the second half. 14-11, and after a miss by Odom, we will have free throws for Cameron Calhoun on the other side. 6:38 to play. South Atlantic Conference Championship game. Lincoln Memorial leads it 6th championship game.
Yeah, it was the unbeaten conference season for LMU that capped off a championship 2016. They went unbeaten in the conference season this year. I don't know if that's the MO. I don't know if that's what you have to do, but obviously this tournament championship does seem to be their kryptonite in a way. But at that time, there's so many teams that know your strengths, your weaknesses. How do you match up? What do you do? Carson Newman did a great job a few years ago in doing that and exploiting them, eliminating their great offensive play. It is tough to take Dorian Pinson out of anything, and he has been the difference today. I like what Calhoun has done off the bench as well. He had an 18-point game the first game of the year against Lees McRae. He's had a 16-point game as late as of the season against Carson Newman just 2 weeks ago. But this one today, a 17-point game for Calhoun, is a blessing in disguise with Terry spending practically the entire second half on the bench.
And it's interesting to look at these two teams from a year-to-year perspective and just how they're able to reload as LMU makes another fantastic play on the defensive end. For LMU, they had to replace Perry and Choice. For Queens, you had to replace Camps and Jared Hendricks.
Yeah.
But so much return for both these teams, so much talent all over still remains.
And Brian, going off of that, Emmanuel Terry's still on the bench because I was told that he just wasn't getting that scoring attack that coach wanted, and he was getting it from Calhoun. That's why we've seen him out on the court more tonight.
And there you hear it about Emmanuel Terry. So unless there is, some other things underlying going on, we'll have to take them for their word as Terry remains out of the game, and Lincoln Memorial leads it by 10. They've done well without him.
That smart move by Alexander. He went right into the chest of Dorian Pinson, forced him to make a play. Of course, you never feel as if you commit the foul, but I was almost getting ready to say Alexander matched up with Pinson. Find somebody else. There's got to be somebody else that wants to make a move, but Jalen Alexander, no fear. Love his play. Love how he plays the game as well. He's got that smooth release from outside, which we haven't been able to see because he's been under so much pressure. The big free throws right now for Queens with still plenty of time to play in this contest.
Good spin to free up some space. That's a tough call.
Yeah, now the more you see it slowed down like that, he kind of jumped into his chest. Vincent did a pretty good job not fouling him right there, to be honest.
6 for 6 from the free throw line for Alexander. He has 16. He'll take a breather. Daniel Carr back in. And Queens will pick up the pressure once again with 5.5 remaining. Great skip pass. Patterson can't convert on the three-pointer as Pinson put him in a perfect spot.
Quick shot right there. Benefiting Queens. They get a stop. Can they get some points?
Carr. Yes. 10 points now for the sophomore Daniel Carr. A tough take inside in a 6-point game. Will Pinson get back to his attacking ways? He wants to slow things down.
I agree to disagree here. They've been so good attacking, but they've had a couple of turnovers here in this second half.
Another great skip pass, and Cornelius Taylor for 3 with the hold. 16 points.
This is a 5-point play. 2 free throws are coming up because he was fighting through the screen. The 3 is going to be good, and Calhoun's going to go to the stripe. I believe he can only shoot 1.
So the 3 counts because the shot was released before the contact was made. So the 3 points are good, and now 2 free throws for Cameron Calhoun. You were right initially. A chance at a very rare 5-point play.
Well, the official said, no, we're only going to shoot 1, but then Mike Hefner comes over and explains, no, it was the screener that got fouled, so they will get 2 shots for Calhoun.
And Calhoun, a career high, 18 points now. As we've talked about that he can really fill it up in limited minutes. And he's been the energy boost off the bench, and he has provided. Knocks down the pair, now 19 points on the game, just behind Pinson in leading this Lincoln Memorial team. They've gotten the job done in just 19 minutes from Emmanuel Terry. And a foul against Deshaun Patterson.
That was before the shot. I really thought Davis was able to finish that off for an and one here, but they're going to say it was actually before the shot, so Davis shooting just a 1-and-1.
And Queens shooting just 29% here in the second half from the field. What do you think changed?
Dorian Pinson. I just believe he makes it so difficult. Yes, Withers has had some looks, and primarily Pinson's been matched up with him, but they have taken away the interior for Queens in order to finish inside. They have only allowed the perimeter. You've seen it here over the last 3 minutes that they have really made an effort to penetrate and get inside, try to draw some fouls on the Rail Splitters and get to the free throw line. But it just hasn't worked because Dorian Pinson, again, how are you locked in? You're able to help on the perimeter, but all of a sudden you're the first guy into the paint to be a rim protector.
And a team that uses balance offensively so well, they've gotten 2 players combined 0 for 12 in Davis and Agassi that they usually count on to score. Good defensive play results in an and one for Willett on the other end.
Love how Willett runs the floor. I said there's just way too much time in this game. Right now, the Queens Royals, and we go to this final break with an opportunity to get right back in it.
That'll provide some energy from the Royals as they cut it to 7, but
I think Odom did get out of the way, but well-deserved for Willett running the floor with the opportunity here for this 3-point opportunity. 7 field goals made here in this second half for Queens. They've hit 4 from downtown, and they're 7 of 8 from the free throw line, make that 8 of 9 with too much time in this game for LMU just to kind of sit back on their laurels, and now making some mistakes with yet another turnover in this one.
And Odom forced it. You see a couple of LMU players pointing out, as well as Josh Schertz, to Cornelius Taylor saying, get him the ball. He was open.
I don't know when you bring Terry back in. I like the fact that he comes out there with Calhoun, but this is the lineup that we're going with right now. It's been very efficient, obviously, in this second half. It's hard to argue because of the efficiency from Calhoun, not only offensively, but defensively.
Carr from the mid-range, can't knock it down, and it's rebounded on the offensive end by Willett.
Just so active is Willett.
Now it's Carr from three-point range and a rebound for Josh Odom.
It's amazing to me to watch. They're not going to probably pull the trigger from three very often. I thought they've taken some ill-advised threes here late, LMU. They've attempted 12 three-pointers in the game. Shaw hasn't been on the floor, has not been a factor offensively. They averaged 27 attempts from three. On the year, they have 12 in this game.
Pinson will add another one to that total. Can't convert, and it's rebounded by Willett.
Shows what I know.
Now stutter step. And Willett finishes, now coming on strong late, 10 points for Sean Willett, who cuts the deficit down to 4.
Was 11 just moments ago.
Pinson will hold it off. Deshaun Patterson going crazy in the corner calling for that ball, and Pinson just gives him a wave and says, settle down.
He was waving at his coach, too, telling him, I got this.
Pinson sure does.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he looked right at his coach, and he says, I got this.
And a foul underneath with 2:17 to play. And you mentioned it just a moment ago. LMU's done this without Shaw. They've done this without Terry here in the second half. Shaw has not scored in 26 minutes. Terry just 8 points in 19 minutes. Schertz not afraid to, do what he thinks is the best case scenario for his team. And he's seen what he's seen from his team so far, and it's been effective.
First team all-conference, and then the player of the year and the defensive player of the year out there as well. If you're leaking a little bit of oil on that defensive end, but Queens is now starting to get into a rhythm inside a little bit here in the second half, being concentrating or attempting to defensively. He's had several deflections. He was the only offense early. Now other guys are stepping up their game. They're getting to the free throw line. Like what Daniel Carr brings to the table here in the final couple of minutes, just his ability to get to the rim, too.
And Carr will hit 4-point game once again. And the pressure. There's a 3-on-1 break. Patterson to Calhoun. Ooh. Good defense by Withers. It just rolled off the rim. A chance to cut it even further. And Daniel Carr will be instructed to call a timeout by Bart Lundy as we're under 2 minutes to play in the champion.
For a Todd Withers three, just because of the momentum, he did miss his last. It'd be an interesting call right here just to determine how do you feel you continue the momentum at the rim, drawing a foul, or a drive and a pop out for a three attempt by Withers.
Withers has not taken a shot inside the three-point arc here in tonight's contest. He's 6 of 10. Here's Carr backing down to kick out Willett. Inside, goes up, the tip up. And last touched by Willett and the Royals, Lincoln Memorial basketball. And that's a tough take, especially with how well Dorian Pinson's played on the defensive end.
It is, but I like the guy who was taking that. I liked his chances, even though he was going up against Dorian Pinson. He's a good finisher with contact. And I believe Pinson just basically won a possession or at least an inbound for his team, acting as if that was their ball.
Taylor throwing it ahead to Patterson.
Wow.
And a turnover.
Just got to slow it down. Josh Schertz, exactly what he's saying. But I love Carr's enthusiasm. I love his speed.
The extra pass. Davis fouled, shooting the three by Cornelius Taylor. That's his 4th foul. And 3 free throws coming up here for Mike Davis in a monster moment.
Well, the turnovers are killing LMU here. And there's no reason to throw the ball the full length of the court. They've got ball handlers to handle the pressure that Queens has thrown at them. Davis, the extra pass, the patience offensively with urgency. Isn't that funny to say? The patience with urgency. Davis, an outstanding free throw shooter to shoot 3.
5 for 5. That's where all 5 of Davis's points have come from. You see the connection there with the left arm of Cornelius Taylor on the follow-through of Davis as he misses the second. One more big one upcoming for Mike Davis.
Second team all-conference, Mike Davis. And again, you'd almost have to have 37 spots, I think, in the conference for everybody who deserves it, because you'd have to believe the top 7 deserve it.
Offensive rebound by Willett after the second miss in a row from Davis.
Mental mistake by the Rail Splitters, but a defensive stop.
And now Calhoun comes away with it through the fray. the trap on Cameron Calhoun, and he turned it over. And Schertz thinking, why didn't you just call a timeout? Alexander met at the rim and fouled by Cameron Calhoun. A chance to cut it to 1. And Josh Schertz takes a timeout with 64 seconds left on the clock.
So he gets the timeout now that he probably needed to take.
Led for 14:44 of this contest, but things certainly getting dicey here for the Rail Splitters. As you mentioned, a little out of control against this pressure, and Alexander with a chance to make it a 1-point game.
Free throws.
He will not.
Got to make those free throws. Davis just went 1 for 3. Alexander has missed here. That guy right there knows. But he also knows that his team is right back into this with a legitimate shot to win it. You like their chances. They're playing the best right now. But you don't want to see a guy who had been perfect at the stripe misses first in the game.
1 for 2 and a 2-point game as we hit that magical 1 minute remaining mark. This one coming right down to the wire to decide the 2018 SAC Tournament champion.
Last time they needed a bucket, Pinson said, I got this.
Now it's Patterson, 8 to shoot. Here he goes. Patterson the flip up. And the ball's loose after Withers hit the deck. And a tie-up will keep it with LMU, and that's a tough break for the Royals.
It's also a tough take for Patterson, even though it was the right play to make. But Withers was the guy that altered that shot, got the block. He just couldn't grab it. He had it for just a moment, but Pinson then was able to tie the ball up.
They're waiting to decide whether or not we get a reset on the jump ball. We will not. It does not look like. It's 1 second.
I'm not 100% sure that possession changed, even though it looked as if Withers may have had it for a moment. But the officials can actually come over here and look at this under review to determine whether or not it hit the rim. One second on the clock. They're going to leave it.
Josh Schertz will call a 30-second timeout. Trevin Shaw will memorial.
You practice these. 1 second on the clock.
It's Pinson for 3. And it's a shot clock violation. You can't blame him for maybe using Terry as a decoy there to try to free up a look for the guy who's been so good all game long.
So Calhoun back in as Shaw will take a seat. Got a couple of rim protectors in there. With 32 seconds, a difference of 2 seconds, game clock to shot clock. I don't know that they'll let it go all the way down, but it's a 2-point game.
Here's Daniel Carr, 2-point game. Just a second in between the game and the shot clock here as we come down to the end, and a foul called on the drive by Daniel Carr on Dorian Pinson. That's his 4th, and we'll see if Queens can get past their recent free throw shooting woes.
I like Carr's chances. I do like that, but it's pressure. You know, there's a tournament championship on the line just to potentially get your team into a tie with just 18 seconds to play. Then looking ahead in the event that we do that, you've got Taylor, Odom, and Pinson now with 4 fouls. Diancalu has already fouled out for Queens, and 4 fouls for Agassi, who hasn't been on the floor that much here in the second half.
First one's good, 1-point game. 18 ticks left here in this contest, or regulation of this contest, I should say.
LMU went to that slow down, stall offensive. I just like the fact that they continued to attack.
15 seconds left in a tie game, and it'll be Pinson to bring it up the floor and initiate for LMU. 10 to play. Pinson on the drive, and Dorian Pinson with the finish. That's the Royals with Willett. And a jump ball is called with 0.8 seconds on the clock. Queens will keep possession, but what will come of this final play? 2-point game. They have to go for a lob or an incredibly quick get off as well.
All I know is this. Dorian Pinson has just been a warrior. What a game. What a guy. Honestly, the most complete player in this league, doing exactly what Daniel Camps did last year for Queens. He won it for them. 1.1 seconds to play. Can Queens steal one? Can Withers be that guy with a dagger here in the final 1 second to play in this contest?
Alexander's your inbounder. He's got Withers inside, and he just left it short. And the Rail Splitters avenge last year's defeat in the tournament championship to take this one over the Royals and win the 2018 South Atlantic Conference Tournament on the back